Good morning. Just walking up to Stowmarket Paupers Graves because I believe there's been developments. And if you don't know where the Stowmarket Paupers Graves are, I'll show you in this video, and also leave a pin, a link to a Google pin in the description below, and give you the what 3 words location. 3 words. As we're wandering up to the workhouse and the Paupers Graves, I thought I'd just give you a bit of information. I've been working on a couple of video specials, which is why I've not been posting as often as I used to. And when I say a couple of video specials, I mean these are quite big projects. The first project's taken hours and hours of interviews with various people, and it involves the history of Stowmarket. It also features a series of paintings that have been commissioned that are actually hidden all around the town. So I've been showing you where they are and talking about each painting. We're going to meet the artist and find out about how the project all began way back before any ideas of paintings or local history came to mind. I'm hoping to get that film out in a few weeks' time, although the editing is going to be a bit of a mammoth task, as it always is. The second project I've been working on all year is an even more mammoth task, and it was so complicated and heavy to edit and put together, which I'm still in the process of doing, that I had to buy a new computer, because although my laptop's not very old, MacBook Pro, it was taking about a whole minute just to make one cut in the video, which, given the length of this video, that's not sustainable. I can't say too much about this video yet, so I guess it'll be like a Christmas special. Not that it's particularly about Christmas, but it'll be coming out just before Christmas this year, 2024, and I think that's all I can say about that one. But big project, and I think it'll be a interesting film to watch. So back to the Paupers Graves here. If you're not from Stowmarket or you're new to Stowmarket, just up Onehouse Road here, which we're conveniently now turning on to. It's almost as though I scripted that bit, but I assure you that was just a fluke. So we're on Onehouse Road, which becomes Union Road just up here, and there's a block of apartments, but the building itself used to be Stow Union Workhouse. Dreadful places. I'll say a bit more about that in a minute. And obviously the system of workhouses has gone, although during the last 14 years did wonder if the previous government were going to bring them back. We won't go into that, but there's little historic artefacts around the immediate area, and one of those is the Paupers Graves. So if you died in the workhouse, you got buried in the Paupers Graves, which is where we're going, and it was lost really to history for a long time. Then during a clear up of the area, all these metal numbers were found, like cast iron, I think they are, numbers which were the numbers put on a cross of the deceased paupers, deceased people of the workhouse. And if it's, I think there's Onehouse Parish Council has somehow managed to purchase the Paupers Graves, so it won't be built on, because the building work development is coming very close. The Paupers Cemetery has been spared. So the new development I heard is that a young lady has been doing some research, and of course the sad thing about the Paupers Graves has always been that we didn't really know who these people were in the Paupers Cemetery, because they were just given a number. They weren't deemed worthy enough to have their name on a cross. There's certainly no headstone. Apparently, through the wonders of modern research, this young lady has found out many of the names, and I think also calculated there are about 1,000 people buried in the Paupers Graves. Apparently there's a new monument up there, because up until now we had the wooden cross with all the metal numbers on from the graves, the metal numbers that had been found. That was the only sort of memorial on the information board. By the way, that's Stow Union Workhouse, or that's the building. It's now apartments, but that was the workhouse back in the day. And we're going to go across here. So if you've never located Paupers Graves, come up Onehouse Road to the junction with Chiltern Way, and you'll see this little pelican crossing. I'm about to cross in a minute, and straight across you'll see a little letterbox, and just beyond the letterbox is a footpath. We'll just go onto this footpath, carry on down here, and a little way down there's a left turn, not the turn into the ambulance station, or the I think there's a turn that goes into Stow Lodge. So you'll see the old workhouse on your left here, and you go past there, just carry on down here, and I'll show you where to turn off. Once you know where it is, you think, oh, it was easy to find, but if you don't know where it is, I understand that can be a bit of a mystery, as it was for me before someone took me there. And very soon you come to this entrance of the ambulance station. Don't go in there. And Stow Lodge Centre, which I went there for my physio, but yeah, we're not going in there, not in the drive and not in this little footway. Just carry on a bit further and then it should be the next left. Yes, basically it's just here down the side of the ambulance station. Turn left there past the rugby field and just carry on straight down here. It's always a little bit further down here than I think it is. Just keep going and you'll see when the path turns to the right, you'll see a little notice on the left about the Paupers Graves. As you approach the Paupers Graves area, there's a few things to note. On your right here, you'll see an old enamel bath, and it's not just some old bath that they stuck some plants in. This apparently is one of the old baths from the infirmary, so the infirmary would have been just near here, and then obviously if you didn't make it, if you didn't get better, you ended up in the Paupers Graves. But so obviously when it was demolished there's some rubble left, and this is what believed to be one of the old baths that was in the infirmary for the paupers. And then you come to the main area here, and I can already see the new memorial. So just before we get to that, just to explain the layout of this place, so these three crosses on concrete stumps here, basically they sort of indicate the three lines of graves in this area when sort of excavations were done. Yeah, there were three lines of graves, and you stand there, you would be able to see the sort of layout of the cemetery. Then there's the little history information board, which is very good, and this has been here for a while. And then there's a cross with these metal plates on, and these are the numbers of the little crosses off each grave. People didn't have a name, they just had a number because they weren't considered worthy of putting the name on, I guess. So yeah, here's the new memorial. And now, instead of numbers, we've actually got lots of the names. Apparently there's not all of them. I think there's a few more that weren't discoverable at the moment, but this is a lot better. So it told you the name and the age, if it was known, and I think that's a good memorial, because it's just dreadful that these people were treated as bad as they were. And yeah, so I'm really thankful that someone's done that. These are the names of the people who died in the Stowmarket Workhouse between 1813 and 1835. Not all were buried here, as if families could afford it, they were buried elsewhere. There are others buried here who died in the workhouse, but whose names are unknown. Quite often this is as far as I venture into here. I just sit on that bench quietly for a minute, but I've just spotted what could be another information board further in, and there is a little loop. If you just follow the path round, you'll come back on yourself if you just wanted a short walk. But I'm just going to go and explore this what looks like another information board around here somewhere. Did I see that? Oh no, it's a bench. From a distance it looked like another little panel of information. And full respect to the guys that there's a few guys that manage this place, keep it tidy, look after it, developed it, have fought for it not to be developed and built on. I think probably this field here and the field the other side of the hedge will all be a housing estate eventually, but this has been reserved to remember the people of the workhouse, glad to say. So we can carry on a bit. The thing is, all this could have just been forgotten. I mean, who cares? Just a load of poor people in a workhouse. You know, someone else ended up paying for their funeral, such as it was. But I'm really glad that wasn't the attitude. And this sort of respectful memorial has been put together. I mean, it was good before, but now someone's found out the names, or most of the names of the people that were there. It's just fantastic. Oh, there's a little bit of water here. Just a ditch, I think, but I didn't spot that before. We just carry on round this loop. So I'm a bit obsessed with poor people, and part of the reason of that is, technically, I mean, I don't want to do the whole we grew up in a cardboard box and lived out sewer. I mean, we got up before we went to bed, we licked the road clean for us breakfast. I don't want to do all that, but looking back, the house I grew up in till I was about 18 was demolished as part of the Manchester slum clearance. And I never really felt that me and my four brothers went without anything, but life was a bit rough. And I had a couple of friends, and each of those was like an only child, and you did notice all the dream toys and the dream bike and everything you wanted. The only children had those things. And obviously, if you only got one kid to provide for, you can splash out on the best toy or the best bike or whatever it is. Whereas my mum and dad had 5 of us. Flipping heck, how did they do that? And it was in the days when most of my life anyway, my mum didn't, well, you know, they used to say, well, my wife doesn't work. Well, a lot of wives worked a lot harder than the husbands, truth be told. But she didn't go out to do paid work. She looked after us 5. I think that nearly finished her off. And yeah, so I kind of know what it is when there's not always enough. Just spotted another little path here, so I'm going to explore that as well. Some bricks. Oh, now somebody said they discovered some of the foundations of the infirmary. I bet that's what this is. This is a section of the foundations of the infirmary we discovered while we're tidying up this area in June 2024, so quite recent. If workhouse inmates became too ill to work, they would be moved to the infirmary as not to upset the other inmates. In most cases, sadly, their next move would be to the Paupers Graves via the workhouse mortuary. And you've got a little map on there of the site. So yes, there. This is where, obviously, where the infirmary was. Just looking at the map there. This one's not very clear. I've got a clearer one, which I'll put on the screen. So I'm just going to follow this little path. Oh, is it a path, or does it just ends here? Okay, that's not a path. I'm going to wander back round. Yeah, so spent the best part of my life, my best years, helping poor people, something I still do. I do that because, you know, any of us can become broke. Any of us can become homeless. You know, it only takes a couple of days. You only need a couple of events. You know, if something happens in your health and you can't work, or, you know, the bank you've got all your money in goes broke and the government doesn't bail it out, or someone runs off with a pension fund, which is not unheard of. And I've heard this comment sometimes, this comment of, oh, why do we have to pay for people that are not working, or pay for people that can't work? Well, the thing is, it's called society and community. So do you want to go back to the days where the poor were just left on the streets or stuck in a flipping workhouse? I mean, that was technically a step up, having the workhouse. But they made it so horrible, separated husband and wife, ripped children from the mother's arms. The mother would only be able to see her children. I mean, even sort of nursing toddlers, nursing infants, you'd probably only be able to see them once a week, if that. And even then only at the discretion of the, you know, the staff in the workhouse. There's actually no reason for poverty in the world anymore. There really isn't. There's enough money and resources to feed everyone, clothe everyone and house everyone in good condition. Poverty's been used by governments all over the world, you know, to keep the working class, keep the people down. Because if you get stuck, if you get into difficulties, the fear is, wow, I could, you know, I could be unemployed, I could end up on the streets if I lose my house, all those things. And you can kind of manage a crowd or a nation like that. In my mind, there's just no need. We have all the technology now. I can build eco houses, and what we're doing, I'm sorry, I'm having a rant now. What we're doing, building these flipping Lego houses here, why haven't they all got solar panels on? Why aren't they all, you know, super insulated? Why aren't, you know, the houses could be much more efficient and cheaper to live in. Why aren't they really capable of being off grid? They could be connected to the grid, but have your own sort of electric supply and water supply and all the rest of it. But if you don't do that, you know, there's no need for anyone to be poor, no need for anyone to be on the streets. So, however, there's not many governments who sort of make the right choices to sort homelessness and poverty out. Obviously what you need, the trauma of becoming homeless, is going to mess with your mental health. So we need to invest heavily into mental health services as much as we do in physical health services. Obviously if I, you know, broke my leg or broke my arm or something, I go to hospital. It's free on the NHS. I'd fix my arm, put it in a plaster, give me some pain medication. They'd sort me out and I guess review. I've never broken a limb. But, you know, they'll sort you out and check you over and give you some physio and get you sorted so that your limb works again properly if they're able to do that. But when your mind breaks, you know, when your whole sort of engine of how you live and how you make decisions breaks, there's virtually no services available completely overstretched the ones that are available. So what I'm going to do, if you just wonder where I'm going, because I've obviously not gone back the way I came, just walked into the bend on Forest Road. I'm going to do a little loop, so I'm going across here, trying not to get stung by nettles along the way. Yes, I'm going to go along the edge of this field, turn left and go down. I should come out, if I remember the way. I don't, well, you could get lost. I could always get lost. I don't think I'll get lost. Yeah, go down the slope, sort of bear left, part way down, come down out of the Shepherd and Dog pub, and then I'm going to loop down Coombs Lane. This will only make sense if you're local. If you don't know the area, none of this will make sense. Go down Coombs Lane and cut through past Danecroft Cottage, up the little footpath and back into town. So one of the things I've been doing for 25 years to help the poor, done a lot of work in Africa, several countries, mostly in Rwanda. I raised money to build a primary school, which became the best performing primary school in Rwanda. I found sponsors for more than 400 children, so that could get their primary and secondary education paid for. Obviously I didn't pay for that, but the sponsors did. But I organised the scheme, I invented the scheme and organised it. Built an orphanage for 16 kids that didn't have parents, were alone in the world in Rwanda, and we've run that. We've now handed that on. All the ones that we initially supported, I think, through the orphanage, and we've handed it on to the people that managed it. And for many years I did a thing called Gifts of Hope. So when I was out in Africa, we'd always take a few £100 of donations with us, and just simply the guys we work with are fantastic, and they knew who was really struggling in the village, and we just went to the market. We bought a big sack of maize flour, which is a staple of the Rwandan diet, and a big sack of rice, like the size of a, sack of potatoes. And we'd also buy some bars of soap, which is it's like the old carbolic universal soap. You can use it to wash your clothes or wash yourself. And then we got people sort of cooking oil, and if people didn't have beds, if there were just, as many are, sleeping on a dirt floor on a sheet, we actually bought them a mattress and some bedding. And then more recently, just a few weeks ago, we did our last shot of getting people in Rwanda medical insurance. There's no NHS. It's very difficult for people in the UK to comprehend living in a country without the NHS. But believe me, we really have to look after our NHS, because it's almost unique across the globe. In Rwanda, there's only paid healthcare, and obviously if you're sat in a mud hut somewhere up country in a village, you don't know where your next meal's coming from, you don't have any money for medical bills or even health insurance. However, one great thing that the Rwandan government has done, they offer basic medical insurance for the poor for £3 a year per person. So obviously I thought we can get loads of people medical insurance. So if we raised £300 at a time, we could get 100 people medical insurance. You could cover a whole family, and families of about 4 to 6 people, all at £3 a head for the year. So I've been doing that for some years, and obviously you've got to try and raise the money the following year, because you don't just want to give people medical insurance for 1 year. And all sorts of people have been helped. People have been run over by cars when they were younger, never got medical attention, and now become disabled. People with serious medical issues. And yeah, so I'll leave a link in the description of this video, and I've left it to near the end of the video, just so that my loyal viewers know this. This is not for those that click off after the first few seconds or minutes. So Yeah, the charity I run is called RSVP Trust, and it came out of my ministry at Stowmarket Parish Church, and started taking teams to Africa, and then eventually went full-time with the charity, which I've been doing 25 years, so it's not a fly-by-night operation. Recently scaled things back a bit because we did take on a lot of things. We've handed the child sponsorship back to others and handed over a lot of other stuff, but it's now down to sort of me writing books and making videos, and but we're still helping the poor in Rwanda. Got a guy, I think he was one of the first sponsored kids we ever helped. He calls me dad. Don't know how his dad feels, because he has got a dad, he's not an orphan. I guess what he means when he says that is that I've probably been a bit of a father figure to him. No, I don't think his dad's local to where he is. Yeah, so he's great. We got him through university. He runs a little church in a sort of poor, broken down village. Does a lot of great work with, without my support. Very sort of resourceful, but occasionally asks for help. So I just got a WhatsApp. I'm asking about, could we do a chicken farm? Of course we can. So I think we can. Can we? How much does it cost to put some fencing up and build some chicken coops? Because the great thing about a little chicken project in Rwanda, at the moment, up until now, bizarrely, Rwanda imports all its eggs from Uganda next door. I've always thought, just train people to keep chickens, more than just like a lot of mud hut houses. They'll just have one chicken that hopefully lays eggs for a while. When it stops, I would imagine the chicken becomes a meal as well. But if you actually just scale that up slightly, people could start a little business selling eggs, and there'd be a market because you'd be able to do them cheaper than imported ones. So that's the next project I'm looking at with him, but we just sent a few £100 for medical insurance, and here's John talking about some of the people that receive the medical insurance.
His name is called Emmanuel. Emmanuel was knocked by the car in 1980s. I think 1980. That is when he was knocked by a military car here in Rwanda, and he was born in 1948. And since that time, when he was knocked by the car, he spent 2 weeks in the coma, but later on, by the grace of God, he was able to recover and then went back. And sometime back of recent, he was again knocked by a motorcycle, and now he has been in a terrible condition. He cannot stand. It is very hard for him, but he failed to get how he can go for the treatment. And by the grace of God, RSVP has provided the support, and now they are going to cover him and his family for medical insurance, and now he will be going tomorrow for medical treatment. So we want to thank you for all you have done for this Muzei to have life again. May God bless you.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I've always been interested in the workhouse and the paupers' graves, because you think about the poor in Africa, but there were, and increasingly there are, people that poor here. There are children that don't eat, children starving here in the UK, and obviously you need to help both. It doesn't need to be one or the other, and it's also why I've just helped a homeless guy the deposit for his house to help him get off the street. Relatively small amounts really, but I can only do that because people donate to the charity. Yeah, it's a registered charity. Registered it in 1998 I think. So if you're feeling flush, literally if you want to donate £3 for one person to get medical insurance, that's absolutely fine. Leave a link for the donation to RSVP in the video description below. Well, I don't know if you've followed the trail there, but I'm back out on Union Road at the junction with Starhouse Lane, and it's walking back up past another development where also houses don't appear to have any solar panels, and it's supposed to have a percentage of affordable housing, but the affordable housing is not affordable. And if you really want to hear me rant and want me to say what I really think, is the government, I think they've said they're not going to do it, but the government needs to build council houses. The worst, one of the, well, I should say many things, but a ridiculously stupid thing Maggie Thatcher did was sell off the government council houses. So we had a massive housing stock where the government could control the rent, make them actually affordable. And although you were often on a waiting list and it was always under pressure, it's far worse today. But private rentals, I know from family and friends, now my daughters, I don't know how they survive really. Well, one of them's left the country, so that tells you all you need to know. And private rents just go up and up. They're all set to make maximum profit, and the cost of living crisis and everything, it's just impossible for young people, especially young people who are single. And the only way you're going to get a house, unless you're working in a fantastically high paid job like being an MP, getting 89,000 a year. But for most people, there's no way you can afford to rent a house if you're single. So people sort of have a roommate, a housemate, and even those who are in long-term relationships or married, still struggling. They've both got to be working, still struggling to pay the rent. It's all psychological, this workhouse thing and homelessness and the poverty in Africa. People think, oh, they're poor because it's their own fault, they didn't work, they didn't do this, which is utter bovine manure, I call it. I'll let you work that one out. Especially in Rwanda, and some cases here, if you grew up and didn't learn to read or write, do basic maths, you know, it's a very difficult world to live in if you're not literate and numerate. And then even if you are, opportunities are often hard to come by. Anyway, I've enjoyed my little rant. I don't suppose anybody is watching by this point in the video, but if anyone is, thank you for being my therapist today. Let me get all this off my chest. You may have noticed I didn't go down to the shepherd and dog. I took a shortcut to come out at Star Lane because it's 28, 29 degrees today, maybe even 30, and I am really overheating. I'm more sweaty than a sweaty person that's done a lot of work, been left in a bucket of sweat overnight, fallen in a river of sweat, and then done 2 hours of work in the scorching heat. That's how sweaty and minging I am right now. So I'm going home for a shower and a cold drink. So if you've enjoyed this video, especially me talking about how sweaty I am, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and the little bell notification, and you'll get notifications of new videos. and I will see you, hopefully on a cooler day, next time.